Hey everybody, this is Dave of FFDraftPrep.com. Right now we're going to look at the research dashboard. This is the tool that I built to do my player evaluations, and this is the main thing that I'm looking at. Well, I build my tiers and building player grades that were included in our player guide. So it's a real quick way to look at how players have done in the last 5 seasons and start developing your range of likely outcomes for the coming season, in this case 2016. You can see you can very quickly toggle back and forth between different players by beginning to type their name, and if they were included in our player guide, you'll see that you can hit enter once the name populates, and the different rankings that we gave them will pull in up here. So let's look at what we have. You can toggle between PPR and standard scoring, and that will change all of the metrics that are pulling in. Let's look at Antonio Brown under PPR. You have information on age, height, weight, a breakdown of, for each season, number of games that they played, their preseason ADP, position ADP, their total fantasy points, and then their season ending rank and an analysis of if they beat their rank, which they would have if it is negative. If they did not, it will show as positive. So that's pretty cool to look at. We also have averages here. This is a breakdown of their per game averages, and you can also use this cell right here to project how a player might look if you think that they're going to improve a lot. So if you thought a player was going to improve by 15%, you could see a projection of those fantasy point totals here and also their per game averages. Similarly, you think a player is going to regress, you would do a negative percentage, and you can see how that would impact their stats for each game. Down here, this is just, their straight statistical output for 2011 to 2015 with averages included. You can look at targets. If you're looking at running backs, you can look at their total touches, see what their usage looks like. We have the rank at the end of the season based on standard and PPR scoring. And, all of those different common stats that you'll look at. If we come up here, you can see that in this graph, we're counting the number of games that a player played in each of these seasons, their total points at season's end, and up here, we're looking at their season ending rank. So this is a real nice, concise summary of how players have performed and how they may be trending. This is my favorite thing to look at in the entire tool here, which is adjusted average weeks with X points. So what this is essentially doing is it's counting in each season the number of times that the player you're looking at passed these particular thresholds. So in 2015, Antonio Brown posted 10 plus PPR points 14 times. He posted over 15 PPR points 11. He went 8 weeks in the top 12 and 11 in the top 24. And this is what I really like to look at. Down here, you're getting a percentage of those games between 13 and 15 that the player passed that particular threshold. And then we are multiplying by 16 in this row here to say, using 13 to 15 data on average, Antonio Brown went for 10 plus points in 15 games of a 16-game season. Using those averages, he went over 15 PPR points in 12 games of a projected 16-game season. So this is a really powerful thing to look at. It's my favorite thing to use. And then you might want to say, all right, so this is a good summary of Antonio Brown. Let's look at how he actually performed throughout the season. Were there any trends we could take away? And you can look at the game logs, see how their points trended throughout the season, see if their usage increased. Look for any anomalies in touchdowns. If there's a player like Larry Fitzgerald that put up most of their touchdowns in the beginning of a season, you might realize there's some regression coming for him. Or, you might be interested to see players on the Lions or the Colts where there were coordinator changes during the season, how that impacted a particular player. You'll just use the drop downs and you can toggle back and forth between seasons. And that's just another useful tool that you have at your disposal to really get into the nitty-gritty on a player. And then finally, there's a player comparison table where you can toggle back and forth between standard and PPR scoring. You can look at similar players. So you might want to look at Des Bryant versus AJ Green. You have these fantasy summaries, adjusted average weeks as we talked about. You can do a nice comparison there. And you can look at trends in points per game across 2013 to 2015 season point totals. You can also toggle back and forth among the various thresholds, do a comparison that way. It's the same thing here. If you start typing a player's name and you find that a suggestion's not popping up, it's just that they're not in the player guide, but you can still pull in all their stats and everything will update nicely. Then all you gotta do is start typing in their name. Once you see it, you hit enter, and you get that nice succinct comparison. So hopefully that takes you through the tool, lets you realize how awesome this is at just helping you efficiently evaluate players and building your expectations for the coming season and making sure that you know everything you need to know about these players you're going to be drafting. So if you have any questions, shoot an email to ffdraftprep@gmail.com and we'll get back to you. And thanks for watching. Good luck in 2016.